Yeah.
What it is, what it do. Welcome to another episode of T3MU TV. It's your host, Nero. You know when you see my face, I got a special guest. I got one of the greatest coaches in Mass in the building today, man. My guy, Hugh Coleman. How's it going?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. Very excited, you know. You hit me up and I'm new to the whole podcast game, and I didn't know you was doing it, but you definitely got a new subscriber, watcher, follower.
Sir. Appreciate you.
And I'm gonna put all my students on and my family, check in and tap in with what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I just did it because I love my city, and I've heard the great stories about you and CharlesTown, and I just want to share with the world. You know what I mean?
That's dope. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, sir. So, were you born and raised in Boston?
I was born and raised right here in Boston, man.
Okay.
It's crazy. I celebrated my 45th birthday on Saturday, so I was born here.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Happy belated.
I was born here in 1977.
Okay.
My mother is Joanne Coleman. My father is Hugh Morris.
Okay.
We used to live on Hutchinson, which is like off of Humboldt.
Yep.
Which is, people say H block. I learned about that like when I got older. But
later
with all the young boys. But it used to be, I used to live over there. I used to live over by Rosetta Street, which is near the Marshall Elementary School. So those are my early years, man.
Okay. So when did you start playing basketball?
So basketball for me, back when I grew up, really was a young, sort of preteen, teenager, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
We lived in a neighborhood where it was a pretty diverse. So it was right off of a Columbia Road, right over there near like the Dunkin' Donuts and
yep. Almost in that
KFC, in that circle, Boston Street.
Yep.
And there was a good mix of black kids, white kids, Asian kids, Spanish kids, and so we played back in the day. We played street hockey.
Wow.
We played baseball inside of the little parking lot area. We played football, tag, and tackle, and then there was a hoop up the street. Yeah. Which was connected to I think the electric company. It was just like a little basketball hoop. And we used to go back there and play ball. So back when I was probably 11 years old, I went out for Little League.
Okay.
Out in the over there where the field is near the point.
Okay. Yep. I know where Moakley Park, I think is.
Yes, Moakley. Okay. And I got cut. And I thought they said everybody made Little League, but I got cut. I think because I ain't have my own glove. Right?
Okay.
So all my friends went to Little League. I went there, I got cut. They made it. And I just found myself by myself going up to the hoop, to the court. Okay. And I just, that's where I kind of fell in love with it a little bit, just playing around with it.
Yep.
And then I got into the middle school. I was at the McCormick.
Okay.
Sixth grade, I went to the McCormick.
Yep.
And is when I started playing organized. And I wasn't good, but I was a hard worker.
You were just starting out.
And I saw other people, and I was like, wow, like how did they get like that? And I'm really interested. So that's when my love for the game first started, probably in sixth grade.
Okay. Yeah. So who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh, goodness. There was a few guys that I remember from back in the day. One gentleman by the name of Calvin Hardy. He used to go to Madison.
Really?
He was at the time when I was younger, he was probably 6'5", 6'6" maybe, but he was like a guard. He was like a guard, and he was dribbling and he was dunking. And that was the first guy that I recognized. Then there was a couple of brothers, and I'm forgetting their last name, but Tim was one brother's name, and Antoine was the other brother's name. Okay. You know who I know them? Jermaine McNeil. So Jermaine, he and I went to middle school together at the Grover, which is now Hyde Park.
It's Cash, right?
Cash, that's right. I grew up with them, but I know he would know like their last. A lot of the brothers that I grew up with would know his last name. I'm mad that
maybe they'll leave it in the comments section.
I'm blanking on the last name, but Tim was like, kind of had the swagger, could cross you up. He's the first dude I ever seen that would, kind of dribble, go behind the back, and then between the legs and lay it up. One of those moves without traveling. I was like, I was impressed. So that's kind of, those guys growing up really inspired me to really want to see. I didn't even know how to improve my game, but wanted to get better.
Yeah.
So that was my first inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you end up at Charlestown? What made you pick Charlestown?
Yeah, man. So,
were they good at this time?
So the crazy thing is this: it was the beginning. Even when you asked about Charlestown, that was really the origin story of let's say Hugh Coleman as a basketball player, a good ball player, and then what cultivated me to be a coach.
Okay.
And so what happened was, at the time, my mom, she had 9 kids in total. I was the second oldest. My oldest brother sort of left the home when he was 13. I was 6. Just back in the day was the drama, was a little bit of street stuff, alcohol, addiction, drugs, stuff like that. And he just kind of wanted peace of mind, and so he went to live out in the suburbs with my aunts or whatever. So I kind of became the eldest by default. And
had to step up.
Yeah, and during that time, my mom was struggling, and I had to really step up and be there for my brothers and sisters. And she was she was getting clean, and she was in kind of a shelter thing, but it was in Charlestown. It was in one of the homes in the projects in Charlestown.
Okay.
So we're living in Dorchester with my aunt at the time, and my mom was like, put down Charlestown as an option. And in my head, I had never been to Charlestown, and the only thing I knew was that it was a white community. So in my head, I'm like, why would I put Charlestown down?
Yeah.
The schools to go to back then was Snowden was known as a good academic school, and I think my mom was there academically. Westy was brand new when they used to have an escalator.
Wow.
They used to have an escalator, and that was ooh, you
want to go there?
I wanted to go to Westy, see what that was all about. Southie with Monty Mack.
Okay.
And Jonathan Napina were winning state championships. They had went back to back. That whole group, Roger Roberts, all of those guys was on that team. Good players was
Heard
on that
about
team.
them.
And so I chose Charlestown because my mother said put it down, and it was my last choice.
Okay.
So, and I had Madison in there at the time because I was thinking about the vocation stuff. But Charlestown was my last choice, and I got just random selection. If you know anything about the BPS lottery system, you when you're in middle school, you got to put down your first, second, third, fourth, fifth choice.
Yep.
And depending on the enrollment to those schools, if I put my first choice, but it was already too enrolled, they put me to the second, third, fourth.
Yep.
I don't know how. I don't know if I filled out my paperwork late, but I got Charlestown.
Okay.
For me, I like to say that it was a blessing from God.
Yeah.
Because when I went there, my life completely changed.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how I got there. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. But did you play varsity right away?
So when I got there, being from the community and playing all the different sports, I never specialized. I started to specialize in basketball probably 6th grade. And, why I had some great people who were good coaches, but not developmental, but just good people, good coaches, right?
Yep.
So I really wasn't developed. I didn't have no real skills, and I didn't have any real IQ for the game. So I get to Charlestown, freshman year, I make JV.
Okay.
And I think, again, I make JV. I'm a smiley, happy-go-lucky kid. I'm a hard-working dude. I got good grades, but no real IQ and no great skill.
Okay.
I was the last guy to make the team, and I think I scored 1 layup the whole season.
Damn.
Yes. What made me different, the legendary coach Jack O'Brien.
Yes.
It was his first year at CharlesTown.
Okay.
And he had
And this was your freshman year?
This was my freshman year, which is 93.
Okay.
It was so 93, my freshman year, his first year there. He doesn't know who's who, so whoever shows up, he sees what the talent looks like. So the talent's there. I'm a freshman. I go right to the JV, and I just worked my butt off, right? Just worked hard and had a good time, not really knowing what I was doing, because even the JV coach at the time was one of the special ed teachers.
Yeah.
He just happened to be able to get the job. So Jack didn't bring in an assistant at the time. He came in by himself, hired the guy. So the guy let me play, get out there, run around, play some defense. What I think caught coach's eye for me was that I worked hard, I played hard, and had a good attitude. And one day after varsity practice, after JV practice, varsity was about to practice, and I had the audacity to say, "Hey, coach, can I watch? Can I just come and watch?" He said, "Sure, just be quiet. Make sure we want a quiet gym." Because it was normally like a closed gym. So I just sat up there and just watched. And I watched some of the drills that they were doing. And the one drill that they were doing had to do with like putting your right hand, your strong hand behind your back and dribbling with your off hand. And then after that, you got to try to use your strong hand to knock the ball out of the other person. So it was a team thing, and you had to do it inside of the box, inside of the box of the free throw line or whatever. And so it gave me an idea when I went home that night, put my hand behind my back, and I just started dribbling with my left because my left was not good. And so that taking those notes, and then, I think coach saw something. And so one day he says to me, freshman year, when the season was over, "Hey, do you want to go work out?" When he said those are like magic words to me. Because I never really knew how to become a better player.
Yes.
I working out. So when he said it, I'm like, work out. He's like, "Yeah, work on your game." And I was just like, it was like this, like I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then I got the varsity coach asking me. And then we started from the basics. Right hand, boom, left hand, working on it. Making a crossover. Let me see your right hand layup, or let me see your left hand layup. Okay, we got to work on that. So he, breaking it down. Then he said, "Let me shoot the ball." I used to pull the thing back here. He's like, no. This got to be in front of your face. You got to boom, legs, fingers. And he just taught me from the beginning. And we worked out for like a good 2 hours. And then he said, "Now, when you go home and you find a hoop or you go to the community center, work on it."
Okay.
And I was like, all right, this guy is telling me what to do, and I'm believing him. And I just went, man, and I started working on it. And that was the start of me developing. But the thing that was the magic, watch this. School started for us at 7:30 in the morning, 7:20, 7:30. I was traveling all the way from Four Corners at the time. I lived right in Four Corners. I had to go down to Fields Corner, get on the train switch over. So one morning, I ended up leaving the house early than usual. Buses was running on time. Trains was running on time.
Everything was just good that day.
Everything was good that day. I get to school at like 6:50. So when we normally get there in the morning, we would go sit in the cafeteria and all, as a whole team, connect with coach, just chatting with each other. And one day I get there, coach wasn't there, so I decided to just walk around. Like I'm walking around the building. I decided to go walk in the gym and just go, look around. I walk over in the gym, and the closer I got, I'm hearing the ball bounce.
Yeah.
So I'm like, 6:55 in the morning, who's in the gym?
Yeah.
So I go look, and there's a senior named Harrison Bush. He had on his practice jersey and his shorts, and he was in the gym by himself doing like the drills that coach had showed me when we worked out.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, in my head, another moment was like, what's going on here?
What is he doing?
Like, how did he get here this morning? It's just the morning. So I waited a few minutes. I go back to the other side. I found coach in the lunchroom, and I'm like, "Coach, Harry's in the gym working out." He was like, "Yeah." I was like, I said, "What time did he get here?" He said, "He got here at 6 this morning." I said, "You could come to the school at 6 in the morning and work out?"
Yeah.
He said, "Yeah." I said, "Can I come?" He said, "Sure." The next morning, I woke up at 4. I left the crib at 5. I got to the gym at 6, and I just worked. I did that every day. End of my freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. Each year, each month, I was getting better and better and better. And as a sophomore, I made varsity.
Okay.
And then that's when I met the legend, Sean Brown.
Okay. So y'all played together.
We played together 1 year.
Oh, wow.
His senior year was my sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did y'all do that year? Did y'all win it?
So that very first year, coach's first year, both JV and varsity went 1-15.
Jeez.
That freshman year, 1-15 both. Coach's first year, my first year on JV. That second year, Sean was a senior. Sean didn't play the junior year because before Coach got there, Sean was the ultimate athlete, ultimate football player, basketball player. But I think back in the day, the standards for academics wasn't so high.
Yeah.
And if you was a good athlete, you really could get away with not doing schoolwork, but being able to play. And so Sean's junior year, Coach was like, you don't got the grades, bro. You can't play. He's like, nobody ever told me I couldn't play.
You were
and
shocked.
so Sean couldn't play. He was shocked. That off season, Coach and Sean got together, made a commitment that he was going to really give this a shot. Worked out all summer, came back, took care of business in the classroom, and Sean was on the basketball team. And so we didn't have no other point guard to back him up. That's part of the reason why I made varsity. So I got so much better from my freshman year to my sophomore year because of that work I was putting in. And I was the backup point guard because we needed a backup point guard. And what this is you want to talk about iron sharpening iron. You want to talk about where I really became like I got my grit from. So Sean Brown, if you know him, and if you actually follow him on like Facebook and Instagram, he's on his 1% now. 1% better every day.
Okay.
He's in the gym.
Oh.
He's killing it
focused.
right. He's focused. So back then, Sean was like, gave me nothing. I don't care if you're a sophomore. I don't care if you just learning. Coach I'd be on the opposite team. He'd be on the starters. I'd be on the backups. Sean wouldn't let me get the ball inbounds.
Jeez.
So the first team would score, they'd take the ball out, and Sean would deny me, wouldn't even let me catch the ball. Then when I caught the ball, it took me weeks before I can get the ball over half court. Because now Sean was like guarding me full court. Now it's almost like, come on, he a little sophomore. You know he can't. He ain't that good. And Sean didn't let up.
He didn't ease up.
I had to figure out how to back him down and cross over and get over half court. So I finally get over half court. Now he wouldn't even let me run the play. So now I couldn't even run the play because I'm over half court now.
Yep.
But now he ain't letting me really get into the offense. And every day, man, there was days I would almost cry. Like I was feeling like
frustrated.
I wasn't good. I was frustrated. And Sean would always just be like, yo, great job. Like, I'm glad you fought the whole time. Stay with it. Stay with it. So that kept me motivated. It's funny. I think I told somebody one time, I didn't know I could quit. Like I felt like inside I wanted to quit. It was so frustrating. I didn't even know I could, but I didn't. You know, I got the encouragement for him. And the big ups, like, yo, you're doing a good job, even though I'm killing you. And
he didn't push you down. He picked you up.
He picked me up. And so finally, by the time we got to the end of that season, I could now hold my own out there. And it was at the right time because we ended up going that season. I think we went 16-4.
Okay.
Turned it all around.
All the way around.
All the way around. We made it to the state tournament for the first time in I think like maybe a few years. And then we end up losing to a really good Central Catholic team. But that was my real introduction. And when Sean graduated, they had to name captains for the next year.
Okay.
And so I was the only junior that was named captain, and a kid by the name of Nick Souffrant, he was the only senior on our team that following year. So actually it was me, him, and then actually one more junior by the name of, sophomore at the time, named Ant Walker. He's another guy that put up some numbers. And so, you know, Sean, He blessed me. He baptized me. He brought me through the fire.
Yep.
He brought me up. He raised me up, and
molded you to
he
be a
molded
great
me,
point guard.
and that was it. That was it. And so I knew exactly what to do. I knew exactly what it looked like. I knew exactly what the expectations was. I knew how much I had gotten better from my freshman year to my sophomore year, through my sophomore year, going into my junior year. And so now, with the little taste of the state tournament, wanting to win a city championship, wanting to win a state championship, me, my brother Ed Walker, Ant Walker, Scott Clark, Nick Souffrant, and a dude by the name of Ian Urquhart, we got to it. We started working out every day, going to the Huntington Ave Y. We just was on a whole mission. And that's what, when people look at the Charlestown legacy from 99, 2000, all the way up until like Ridley Johnson and Jason White in 2005, from that span, we won 5 state titles in that time span, 6 years. But the foundation was what I was just telling you. Sean Brown, myself, because even in the next 2 years, my junior and senior year, we bust our butts. I really don't believe that no team outworked our team to get better in the offseason.
Y'all was just so hungry.
We was hungry. What we lacked was experience. We lacked a certain level of talent. So like we went up against the Englishes at the time that had Rasheem Lamb, D. Cobb. We went up with guys like that who were better than us. We went up against Southie teams that still had Jonathan DePina on it, Fruity on it. They were better than us. Other team that was really good at the time, Southie was really good. And we used to actually have crazy battles against Latin Academy. Latin Academy back in the day. The current coach who's there now, Danny Bunker, sniper.
Jeez.
Sniper. So we had battles against them trying to win the cities, and we lost. We had battles in the state tournament against like Wakefield. Back in the day, they beat us. Reading High School. Those teams beat us when we got to the state championship because we didn't have the experience. And then the talent in the city, we didn't have that talent. We had work ethic, but we didn't know how to win. It wasn't until that next phase when the talent came in and we passed down the knowledge of the work ethic, and that's when Jack and that team, those teams went crazy.
So you never got a state championship?
I never won a state championship as a player.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I earned it as a head coach when I got to Brighton. But other
it's
than
just
that,
you and Sean Brown and those other guys laid down that foundation.
We laid down the foundation, and it's crazy because I love, the history from that time when Jack first got there. Like I was there. Me, Sean, Ed Walker, we were there from the ground up. And, what made me into a coach, this is what made me into a coach. So, my 2 years, my junior and senior years, we fought hard, we fell short. I ended up getting Division III looks, and I had like Tufts University, a place called Middlebury, a place called Bates, and a place called Bowdoin.
Okay.
Now, most people, when you say those names, right, Tufts is familiar because it's in Massachusetts, it's a method. But Middlebury, Bates, and Bowdoin, most people, especially in the city, I had never heard of those schools in my life. When I was a senior, and coach made me apply, and I would tell people like lawyers, doctors, when I was around my mom, we were doing with different people. They were like, Bowdoin?
Yeah, they didn't know.
Like, no, they knew. Like, I'm saying the city didn't know, but when I was around like lawyers, doctors, people that my mother had to go see, they knew.
Okay.
These schools is like small Ivy Leagues. Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Bates, Bowdoin, Middlebury is like a small Ivy Leagues. So academically, they're insane.
They're good and very good.
Division III basketball, the NESCAC is probably the best Division III, one of the best Division III leagues in the whole country. So Coach O'Brien knew Hugh is a academically strong kid, smart, book smart, into it. He's a really good kid. instead of just sending him to school for basketball, I got to make sure he's going to a school where academically he's going to get what he needs and come out of there with a degree and can change his family's life forever.
Yeah.
So that's what Coach was thinking about. So, I get an opportunity to, my 2 years at junior, senior year, then I get recruited by those schools. My grades was on point. I go to Bowdoin. Every year that I come home for break or every summer, Coach O'Brien used to have me as the coach for the boys. So I coached my brother Derek Coleman.
Yeah.
And there's some legends that are on the wall at Charlestown. You got Rashid Al-Khalim was the shooter, went to Florida. Tony Chapman went to the University of Ohio. He was the point guard.
Yeah.
Andrew Angus, that people know.
Yep.
Drew went to
C3MU
State.
alum, he came up here.
Absolutely. Then we got Corey Boston.
Yep.
He went to Robert Morris. And then we got the late, great El Ray Taylor, who passed away, who went to UNH. Those five, they call the Fab Five. They call them. They led Charlestown to the first state championship when they were sophomores. So their sophomore, junior, and senior year, they three-peated.
Yeah.
Right? I used to coach those dudes when I graduated in 97. So 90, 98, 99, I'm doing all the off-season coaching. So I'm taking everything I learned, everything that Coach O'Brien wants to implement to them, I'm the one giving it to them on the off season. So it was like they had a head coach the whole time because it was me. I was doing it.
Yeah.
Then we'd have alumni games where you got Sean Brown coming back, me coming back, all of the guys who graduated and went to college playing these dudes, pick up 1-on-1, 3-on-3, 5-on-5.
got the best of it.
Then we was in college, so we lifting. So we getting them. We get in the weight room. So now we giving them the game from the college perspective. So again, when some people look at that Charlestown run and they think like, oh, they just monopolized on the best talent around the city.
No.
Though a lot of those guys that ended up there were brothers. My brother Derek, my brother Bernard. They had no choice but to go play for Coach O'Brien.
Yeah.
Ridley Johnson and Paul Becklands are my nephews.
Yep.
Y'all got no choice but to go play for Jack O'Brien. So then people like Tony Lee from Mission, Corey Boston and El Ray Taylor was from Mission. Yo, you going to play for Jack.
Yeah.
Like that was the mindset of us telling our young boys where they're going.
Yeah.
Similar to like how y'all built up Tech Boston. And y'all was just like, y'all young boy, like this is where y'all going, and then y'all built it up and dominated, right?
Yep.
So like
that's exactly what happened.
That's how we built it. And so Coach making me do the off-season coaching didn't even know was starting my coaching career, was starting my coaching mind.
Yes.
And so that's where I really cultivated that. And so next thing you know, I'm in college, we in the state chip. I'm like to whoever's on my, good thing about college, you don't really got no adults telling you can't go.
Yeah.
I was in the whales, like I'm going to the Garden, I'm going to the States, I'm going to watch my boys play. And so from the first state championship all the way through to the 5th, I got 5 rings.
Yeah.
So the first 2 were like unofficial, like off-season coaching. But then the last 3, I had graduated college and I was working at CharlesTown.
Okay.
So I got 3 rings from coaching officially and then 2 as coaching unofficially.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And that is what,
started it all.
That's what started it all right there for me in terms of coaching.
Bet. So before I go on to some other stuff.
Okay.
Before I go deep into the coaching.
Okay.
Let me see. How is it playing for Jack?
Ooh, so I think I'm a little bit like this. Maybe Johnny's a little bit like this. I think great coaches are. On the off season, he's amazing, man. He's funny. He's a character. He's a clown. He makes jokes. Very, very loving, very caring, very like, yo, how are things going at home? And, how can I help you and give you like a good word, or how can I help pick you up or motivate you? When the season starts, he's an animal.
He's on you.
Animal. Everything got to be right. You better be in school every day on time. Take care of business in the classroom. And when we get down to that gym, nobody comes in, no sitting around. If you get there early, you better work out, get a little pre-workout in. And then when he was on, he was methodical. Everything. We working on this, we working on that, we doing it again, do it to perfection. He was relentless. And for a guy like me, I really was just an obedient, happy-go-lucky, let's do it.
Yep.
You telling me to work, I'm like, work.
He was a workaholic.
That's it. So he was great to coach, to be coached by and to play for because, you know, I got it. You know, I think me being the oldest brother and being mature for helping my mom, you know, like navigate her struggle, her time. She had a rough time and we came out of that. And I helped her navigate that. And so I was a little more mature. So I got it and I accepted it, man. And the other thing that made it beautiful and easy is that my teammates, we were all in it together. Like we wanted it. We wanted to win the cities. We wanted to win the estates. So we were willing to like work. And so it was the right mix of the guys that were like, we want this, and a coach that was willing to give it. He was ready to give it. So it was awesome playing for him.
Okay. So I know you talked about it a little bit from, you know, going back and forth from being in college and going back, but how was your college experience as a player?
Wow, man. Listen, you want to talk about momentum.
And what did you major in?
All right. I ended up majoring in English and minor in education. That's how I actually came back to be a teacher.
Okay.
So if you want to talk about the whole origin of coaching, yeah, coach, I gained that from coach and the experience, but going to college and learning about like, wow, there's not many men of color out here, not many women of color out here.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, first of all, I was in Maine, so that was one reason why not.
Yeah.
But as I went and visited other schools, I realized there just wasn't as many of us out here. So it hit me like, yo, what is this all about? Like, what am I missing, right? I know how our neighborhood is. I know how the hood is. I know how the struggle is, but I didn't understand it. So going to college and not seeing many of us out there made me understand it to a different level. So I made a decision. I was going to come back to the hood, back to the city, and I was going to teach and I was going to coach because I wanted to get as many brothers and sisters up to the next level as I could. So that's, you know, I ended up majoring in English, minor in education or whatever, and that was my thing. Basketball wise, I had built up so much, man. I didn't realize this. I kid you not. I'm going in humble, freshman. You know, was not expecting to play a lot at all. And I go in and I just had a work ethic from CharlesTown, from Jack, from me getting better. So I was a gym rat. And I'm out in Maine, Division III. The guys are not on scholarship, so everything's not mandated, right? So these dudes is not really working out.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of like, what's up with this? But me, I was a gym rat. I'm working out. I'm working on my game, and I just excelled. And my first game in college, I expected not to even play much as a freshman, right? I didn't have this, I got to play,
like,
right?
yeah.
I'm very humble and just very naive to us, I guess. So then I come off the bench. I hit a three. And I no turnovers.
Wow.
So I had 1 3 the whole game that I hit, and I had no turnovers. The next night, he started me, and I started every game after that. So after my first game, now what I realized was, I was like, either these dudes is not that good, or I really got better, because it felt easy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about threes and going by people and then D'ing people up full court like this. And I'm like, I'm a freshman and I'm going against these juniors and seniors and guys that have been in college.
And you just dogging them out.
Dogging them out. I get the rookie of the week in the league.
Okay.
A few times. I got a
sir.
rookie of the week. I'm putting up, I never scored in high school, never scored more than 20 points. I think I had 15 was my highest at CharlesTown.
Wow.
I'm getting 20, 23, 28. I'm hitting 6 threes in a game, and that's when my 3-ball actually even exploded too. CharlesTown, Jack O'Brien was known for building the jump shots.
Yeah.
Like he taught us all how to shoot, and we fell in love with the 3-ball. So I got better at it my junior year, my senior year. But by the time I got to Bowdoin, I was stroking that joint.
Yeah.
And as a freshman, I'm just putting numbers up and I'm shocking myself at how easy it felt. But I excelled. I damn near dominated as a freshman, and took the league by storm. So I got, in the whole state of Maine, I got Rookie of the Year. For our league. See, our league though goes like Maine. We got Bowdoin. We got Amherst College, like Amherst, not UMass Amherst, but Amherst College. That's in Massachusetts. We got Connecticut College. So Williams College is in New York. So our league went from like Maine all the way up to like New York. So we had all of these NESCAC schools, and then the NESCAC, I came in second in Rookie of the Year votes.
Wow.
So in Maine, for all the D3 colleges in Maine, I was the Rookie of the Year, and for our whole league, I ended up becoming in second. So I really, I hit the scene, man, and I blew up my freshman year, and then I kept it going. My sophomore year, my junior year, I ended the season. I ended my season with 990 points total, 950 points total.
Okay.
So I was only 50 points away from 1,000. High school, I never even dreamt of scoring 1,000 points. I didn't even think I would go to college and score 1,000 points.
Wow.
But by the end of my junior year, I had 950. So I was 50 points away from my senior year to score 1,000. And then I broke the 3-point record as a junior.
Wow.
A junior in college, I broke my school's 3-point record. I think at the time it was probably like a total of like 150 something. I had 180.
Damn.
Yep, I had
Shout out to you for that, man.
And then I set it as a junior. I broke it as a junior, set it as a senior. I ended with like 220, I think 240 maybe. I might have ended with, and that record I used to look at every year when I graduated. It's 17 years. 17 years. It took just a few years ago a kid broke it.
Wow.
But other than that, it stood in my college for 17 years.
Hey man, it held its time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least it wasn't like 3 or 5. You know what I'm saying?
It held its time. I held the title for a while.
Yes, sir.
And that was kind of where I really developed that, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finished college.
Yes.
Graduated.
Yes.
And you came back to Boston.
Came back, man, 2002. I did an extra year, actually, because I really needed to tighten up my academics. It's so crazy. In high school, I had a 3.75 GPA. And on my transcript, there's nothing less than a B on the transcript.
Wow,
all A's
Coleman,
and B's. When I got to Bowdoin, it was like the opposite. Like I got like all C's, I got a couple D's, but it was hard.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm telling you.
You said it was like right under Ivy League.
Absolutely. So it was hard. It was challenging. And so interestingly, I became like a sort of an average student, but I worked hard. And I learned something about myself with that. Like, dang, it's not that easy. Because BPS, C-Town, really was a cakewalk. I could do my homework in the last period and be done for the day, you know? So it really wasn't challenging, but I learned like what it really meant to grind and put the work in academically when I got to college. But then basketball, when, my start as a freshman where I only scored 1 layup, and then I moved all the way up in high school. In college, out the gate, I was the man, and I blew up, so it was a good reversal to teach me about life on both sides. And so, I had a great time learning that and experiencing that. Okay. But yeah, man.
Okay, so you kind of told me what made you become a coach. We already got into that.
Absolutely.
So how did you get hired at Brighton?
Yeah, man.
Did you pick Brighton? Was it something? Did you pick that, or it was just like you threw your name out there and said,
so
"Let me get hired"?
Now you're gonna get a little bit of the like the T behind So Jack O'Brien dominated. He was at CharlesTown for 13 years.
Yep.
I mean, he had a chokehold on the city. I'm talking about people couldn't get a champion. He won 5 cities and 5 states in that 6-year span. We had some of the best talent wanting to go to C-Town. Like they wanted to go there, just like kids want to go to Tech Boston now.
Yep.
Kids wanted to go to Brighton for a while.
Or
Kids wanted to go to Charlestown, right? So like people wanted to go there, and so Jack built up a couple of haters or guys that It's funny how everyone has perspectives, and it's hard for me to give any one perspective.
Yeah.
But from me looking out, you got this white guy who is from Medford,
Yeah.
coming to the city, dominating, getting kids to go there, and you got kids on the bench that will be starters, hands down, starters, all scholastic on other teams. So from the outside looking in, it looked like the man is hoarding talent or over recruiting or whatever. Like he's doing it, but it was doing it itself. You know what I'm saying? What people don't realize is he built something that legitly took on a life of its own. And so a lot of coaches from other schools was like, that man, they started coming up with stuff like, yo, he's cheating. Yeah. He must be working out, practicing in the off season, illegally. He's changing kids' grades. There's no way kids got grades. So all these different rumors and all these things came out or whatever. And so for me, I go to C-Town. I knew what it was. That Coach O'Brien, listen, if I got anything less on a report card than a B plus,
he was on you.
Jack was in my stuff. Yo, get it together, because he saw the vision. Plus, he's the kind of guy that I can't let you off the hook. And this is what I used to love about him. He used to give me articles. Yeah. He would say, look, hey, I came across this article in the Globe. It was talking about the graduation rate of black males in college, but also compared to the incarceration rate of black males. And there's more, the rates are higher of people incarcerated than graduating from college. Yeah. Where do you want to be? And I'm like, I want to be on this side, right? So he would he would keep it real, and he would give it from a white male's perspective of how the world worked. Yeah. So he would say, this is why you have to be better. This is why you can't cut any corners. So the same thing he talked about in the classroom with us, on the court with us, he made sure we did it in the classroom. So there was no funny business, right? Now, do I know everything he's done? Do I know any strings he's pulled? Do I know the connections he had? No. So some of the older coaches from other schools would talk about the politics and talk about how did he get this kid into school and how did he get that kid into school when the kid should have went somewhere else or was going to go somewhere else. I understand, it's funny, me, Johnny, Kurt, in the city, we talk about how do you get a kid to go to Tech Boston, or how do you get a kid that transferred from Eastie to go to Tech, or here to go to Burke, or whatever. How? And sometimes it's connections, family connections. Sometimes it's kids not working well with one coach and wanting to go to another place. Exactly. So, at the end of the day, Jack did his job. He did a great job, and he attracted people, and he built it. And so for me, I came home from college understanding what it really meant to work academically. So I'm now a substitute teacher at CharlesTown. I get a job at CharlesTown, and I'm like, I'm gonna help coach. I'm gonna just volunteer. I'm gonna go do JV. I'm gonna go help out with the varsity. I'm gonna work guys out naturally. And so from there, I said, Coach, let me be responsible for the academic stuff. I really want to make the boys go through study hall, because I'm telling you, what they got ahead of them, if they plan on going to college, they got to get it in. And so that's where me, learning from him and coming in as an assistant and then taking it and making it my own. I do that for 4 years. Yeah. And then Coach O'Brien decides to leave Charlestown. He decided after we won his 5th state championship, that following year we had one more season. Then he was being recruited. He was being courted. He was being recruited by all these other schools. Yo, come out here, come to Lynn, come here, come to these places. And so he thought it might have been time to go. And so when he decided he was gonna go, I end up taking over at JV. He moves out to Lynn or whatever. He went to Lynn. I went to the JV. His assistant, which is Zach Zagorowski, who got 2 sons who are in the NBA. Wow. So Michael Carter Williams and Marcus Zagorowski played, Zach was our coach, and that was their pops, and he led them, and they used to come to Charlestown practices all the time in games. So they understood, they seen it from scratch. Yeah. And so, those guys went to Lynn. a gentleman by the name of Steve Cassidy, who was the second assistant, and myself took over Charlestown for 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 seasons, Coach actually, that first season when he was supposed to go to Lynn, he actually decided not to go. He changed his mind.
And he came back.
And by changing, he did come back, but then he thought he made a mistake coming back. So he changed his mind again and went back to Lynn.
Yeah.
And then the principal from Charlestown said, if you leave Boston, you'll never get another job in Boston again. You'll never get another coaching job in Boston. So in his mind, thinking like this might seal his fate, he changed his mind again from Lynn. Yeah. So now Lynn was mad. They was like, whoa. Lynn English was like, yo, you committed. We had you. We was ready. Then you changed your mind on us twice.
Yeah.
We good on you, bro. Thank you. Go figure it out.
Damn.
He comes back to Charlestown, but this coach, the second assistant, was like, nah, Jack, I can't give you this. This is a job of a lifetime for me. Plus, you said you was gonna go. You got me up. I turned down some other stuff. Now you came back and you flipping on me again.
Yeah.
I can't give it to you. So Coach O'Brien, for the first time, was out of a job, not coaching nowhere.
Jeez.
So I coached at C-Town for 2 seasons. Nothing in my mind told me that Jack wouldn't get back on. 2 years later, nobody let him in. He was blackballed. He was blackballed around the whole state. Damn. Word went out. All the politics went out. They didn't hire him, right? What they don't realize that they did, unfortunately, one, they kept a great man from saving a lot more lives in this time. I'm telling you. But the blessing for me was, after the second year, I thought I was going to end up being the head coach because Steve leaves the job. Cassidy left that position. So I'm thinking I'm up next at C-Town.
Yep.
They brought in Coach Cordoza, the one who was there for the 10-year span.
Yep.
And so they wanted to get rid of everybody connected to Jack for the politics.
Yep.
So I spent 1 year doing nothing. 2008. 2009, going into 2009, 2010, the former principal from Charlestown has his apprentice get a head coach, a principal job at Brighton. She goes, oh, Brighton's been down, hasn't won anything, didn't have a good rep. Let me see if I can bring Jack in, give him a job. Wow. Jack calls me and goes, I want you to be one of my assistants. And they're hiring. You can get a job there as a teacher. We go to get the job. Jack goes to get the job. Still blackballed. They said no. And when I say they say no, the politicians in the city, the people, the coaches, nah, he ain't in. So then they say, Hugh, do you want to help the gentleman who was here before? But it wasn't a good situation. And I say, with all due respect, no thank you. I've been an assistant for a while. I've coached under Jack O'Brien. And if you're going to give me the job, I'll take it. But if not, I'm good. They hired me.
As head coach.
Hired me as the head coach at Brighton. So I got it by default because Jack, they wouldn't hire him. Yeah. And then my thought was, all right, let me coach for a year too. I'm going to get Jack in here. It's going to be up. 9 years later,
still ain't.
He never got back on those sidelines in the city. And I started my journey at Brighton. And I was blessed that year. Davon Edwards fell into my lap. Malik James fell into my lap. Nick Simpson fall into my lap.
Shout out to the guys, man.
Mark Mojica, Puerto Rico, falls in my lap. Prince, Papa, all these dudes fall into Ducky, Charlie. They fall into my lap, man. And from there, I'm like, all right, let's get it on. And so from there, we really it was my welcome to coaching. And I heard it was Charlie. Charlie was the man. I heard all these things about Charlie. It was crazy. It was like they talk about Charlie, all the people on the street, all the ballers, Charlie's nice. He's the nicest kid. He's ill. He's unbelievable. His jump shot. But all the teachers was like, hey, coach, you might want to get rid of him now. He's hard-headed. He gets in trouble in school. Like, he's arrogant. Like, he does what he wants. He thinks he's above the law. So I'm like, oh, I see what I got here. A real good ball player that could get away with stuff.
Yep.
And nobody really put it on him.
Yep.
And so that was my first order of business. I was like, yo, I got to kind of humble Charlie and let him know that if he doesn't correct the character part, then he's never going to really become what he could become.
Yes.
And so I didn't let him really play ball. Like, I didn't let him start. I was like, nah, you ain't a starter. You coming off the bench.
Ooh.
Like, right? Or even in practice, like, nope, this is the first team. This is the second team. Charlie, you the third team. Like, he didn't know me and I didn't know him. But I was setting the tone right away because I knew what it took. I knew the blueprint from Jack. I knew you got to go at the best player. You got to go at the best player because
so
now everybody else is going to respect you and respect that if you could go at him, you could go at them.
Yep.
Man, Charlie responded, man. Charlie was amazing that first year. We had a kid named Kenny Jean. Kenny was awesome.
Yep.
We had just a whole bunch of players, man. But they didn't know how to win.
Yeah.
Kwame did a great job. Coach Kwame Green.
Yep.
He did a great job with the talent. I mean, I'm talking about he left me, Coach Kirk, Coach Chill, a gold mine. But they didn't really know how to win at the next level. And we running. I'm pushing them. We doing things what we call bricks. Jason, if you look on Jason Jones' Instagram, he made his boys do bricks today. Shout out to Jason,
yes,
right?
Sir. Shout out to Jason.
Like, they didn't know. And one kid had the nerve to ask me one day. He was like, Coach, yo, you killing us. What you trying to do, turn us into CharlesTown? And I was like, wait a minute. State chips, city chips, D1 scholarships. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to turn Brighton into Charlestown. 3 years later, we make it to the first state chip, 2012.
Yep.
2013, we win it. We lost it, and we lost when we should have won when we got to the chip in 2012. But that was a learning experience. And then we won 2013, and then 4 years later with Jordan Galloway, Tyrone Perry, Michael Darren, Johnny Ortiz, we won it again. Gerard Clark. We won it again. We turned it around. Well, we built on it.
Yeah.
And that's when Brighton kind of became like, and we won 3 cities
Yeah.
in that time. We won 3 cities and 2 states
Yep.
in that time. And it all came from what I learned from Charlestown. It came from having that start that year, having the opportunity to take over. And I kid you not, Dean, I was like, you know what? I don't really want to be the head coach. Like, I wanted to coach under Jack O'Brien. I wanted to keep our family together and do what we did.
You wanted to keep that going.
But God was like, boom, here you go. It's on you. And what I loved about it, the biggest thing I loved about it, they used to say stuff like, look at this white man with these black kids and they winning and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Now it was a black man born and raised in Boston doing it for black kids.
Facts.
Right?
You are.
And what I said to them was, what I want y'all to see doesn't matter. Because I learned everything I learned from that
him.
white man, right? But he was just a great man. And so, like, I was blessed to be able to, like, really not really think about the color. I understand how the world works. I understand that we live in a systemic racist, country and world, right? But as much as it's meant, there's traps for us to fail, and there's a lot of loopholes to set us up to fail. There's also a lot of loopholes for us to win.
Yes, sir.
And it's up to us to figure out how to play the game the right way and do what we got to do. And Jack taught me that. And he taught me that. He taught us that more than a lot of brothers who coached us growing up. So before I got to the 9th grade, I was coached by a lot of other brothers doing other different things. And we learned I know I learned more from that man than I had anybody else, and it changed my life. I'm talking about my life. Married now. We just celebrated over August our 20th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations,
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Married
sir.
for 20 years, 4 beautiful children, college educated, had a job now for 20 years in the system, giving back to the community. Like, that changed my life. It changed my whole psyche. And now I'm trying to, my passion is to give that back to the next generation as well. So Jack's influence is perpetual. It's just growing.
It's
It's going
growing.
to continue to grow. And hopefully whoever I've inspired, like Davon and Jason, is taking over at Brighton now, and they're
Beautiful.
ushering the next, wave. And so for me, that man, was God sent. He was a blessing. He was a blessing to us, and he changed. And my story of what I did is just one ripple.
Yeah.
Because we mentioned Sean Brown a few times. Man, what he's doing, he has BAM, Becoming a Man mentoring program in Boston. That's Obama's national mentoring program from Chicago.
Wow.
And he's the executive director on, I think it's the East Coast, over here, in Boston and New York. He's the executive director.
Def got to get him up here.
So he brought that here. You know what I'm saying? But we got stories like my brother Ed Walker. Ed Walker leaves Charlestown and goes to Bates College, which is, again, similar to Bowdoin.
Yep.
He graduates. He's working in colleges as the multicultural recruiter and admissions guy. So he did it at Dean College. He did it at Wheaton College. Wheaton College, he did it. Then he took over a job at Prospect Hill, which is a charter school, private school over in Cambridge.
Yep.
Then he becomes a guidance counselor at Cambridge Ridge and Latin. Then he starts his own nonprofit organization called ICE, Independent Consultants of Education, where what he does is he gets kids in the colleges and find kids their perfect college. So any kid could go to him and say, look, I want to go to a small school on the East Coast or a small school on the West Coast. They specifically find those schools that fit your criteria. Or I want to go to a big school in California. He started that from scratch. Now, this is a brother that born and raised in Mission, from roots in Georgia, goes and lives out in Georgia, comes back to Boston, the youngest of his siblings, living from sibling's house to sibling house, not even with his mother, during high school.
Jeez.
So he was really independent.
Yeah.
And he went to figuring it out. Unbelievable lyricist, rapper, boom. But goes to Bates, graduates, opens up for the Roots.
Yep.
Opens up for Wyclef.
Wow.
Most Def.
Okay.
He's really talented. Does all that great stuff after his life, as a professional, and now he's a pastor.
Wow.
Now he's just a man of God, and that doesn't happen if what happened with Coach O'Brien didn't occur.
Yeah.
And crazy, 'cause Ed was such an independent person. He didn't necessarily take to Coach as a father figure similar to me.
Yeah.
I took to Coach as a father figure. Ed took to him like, yo, you're a coach. You're a guy. You got to, whatever.
Yeah.
But again, his influence and his impact was amazing. So, we talk about, there's so many stories, man, and I'm glad I'm blessed that you called me and you have me here. And I encourage you. Obviously, Andrew Angus, but guys like Corey Boston, Tony Lee, my brother Derek Coleman, like Sean Brown. If you can ever get these brothers up here,
they definitely will be up here.
The stories of that go so much far beyond. So the reason why I'm really, really passionate and proud of what we built at Charlestown, and while I'm glad I was able to go to Brighton and start to branch that off and make that legacy, was because we really impacted a lot of lives. My son Jalen is a freshman at C-Town.
Wow.
To see my boy win Charlestown and playing at our alma mater,
it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And like this kid, man, straight A student, hard worker as a freshman. He's gonna play varsity, and he's probably gonna start on his own accord. Believe me, you can act.
All right, so before we get up out of here, you already basically said it feel great to coach at Charlestown.
Yes.
So do you think y'all gonna be state champs this year? You think you're gonna bring the title back to where it all started?
So I'm absolutely motivated and determined to try to bring one back. I've been doing this for a while. Johnny's doing it for a while.
Yep.
You know, it's a blessing to see Johnny go to Brookline. Shout out to Johnny.
Yep,
and
shout out to Johnny.
Tech Boston, man, and what he built. And you know, even when I read part of the article, he was like, for his coaching journey, this is like the next step for his coaching journey.
Yep.
For me, it really has been, this is my 21st year in Boston back as an adult teaching and coaching.
Wow.
And it's hard to be like, damn, I did start when I was young, but 20 years and, you know, I'm ready to support my son, watch my son. My daughter is a sophomore at UMass Dartmouth. She's playing on the women's team.
Shouts out to her.
Yeah, Jordan, my daughter Jordan.
Yes.
Then I got my son King and my daughter Jada.
Okay.
10-year-old. My son King is 10. My daughter is 5. So what I really want to do is I really want to give them more of my time. I really want to help them develop, you know. But my work ain't finished yet.
Yep.
Right? And so this year is a really good group. We got a really good group. We got 4 seniors that have been with me for 3 years.
Yep.
We got a junior that's been with us for 3 years. We got 2 sophomores that have been with us, and my son Jalen's a freshman. And those guys are the core group, and they're pretty talented. Last year they were all together, so we lost 5 guys who graduated. 1 guy ended up going to CM, and another guy ended up going to another school. But these 8 guys are core guys, and so they know what it takes. And we've been talking to them about this history of CharlesTown for years now. I've been trying to motivate them and inspire them to want to put their own banner up on the wall.
Yeah.
I've been trying to inspire them to want to get their jersey retired.
Yep.
And one thing, and I was telling you early, like, you know, coming to a new program, like when you're a head coach fresh to a new program, even though I was at CharlesTown and went to Brighton. When I got to Brighton, it was challenging in the beginning because they don't know me, I don't know them. We got to build a culture, right? Coming back to C-Town, it was someone else's culture for 10 years. It was Coach Cordoza's culture.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those ties of all those guys, Sean Brown, myself, Rashid, all those guys that won those state titles, it was broken. And so they formed their own culture, which in its own right was solid. But when I got back 5 years ago, it was like, they were like, what you trying to do, turn us into Brighton?
Yeah. Like, hey, that led to state championships.
That's what they were saying. It was like full circle. I'm like, yeah, we took it from C-Town, Brighton took it from, and now we won titles.
Yep.
And New Mission, shout out to Coach Corey McCarthy, won titles, and Johnny won titles at Tech Boston. Yeah. We trying to do what they've done.
Yeah.
And iron has sharpened iron. So what I learned from Jack, my battles started with New Mission. Yeah. And New Mission was dominating.
Yeah, they was.
And then New Mission and Brighton was battling with Tech. But New Mission was on top. And then we had to figure out our wings. And then we finally overcame New Mission and we won, still battling with them and battling with Tech. And Tech was like, damn, we losing to New Mission. We losing to Brighton. They winning chips. And then by the time they was ready, they came in and they got theirs. And and Tech did it big. I mean, 2 state chips in a row, 3 cities in a row. They did it real big. And so, but that was because iron sharpened iron. And they were paying their dues and they was going through their, right? So now I feel like me being at C-Town for the last 5 years, this is year 5, we've been taking our bruises and we've been close and we've been climbing. And so, Latin Academy got theirs 2 years ago. They got a city chip. Burke got a city chip last year.
They coming back up.
So now I feel like C-Town,
it's
what
time.
can we do? We know we got to go through the Burke because they're the defending champs. We know we got to go through Latin Academy because they did it last. And we know we got to go through Tech because they did it the year before that. And we already know New Mission's pedigree. So we know it's not going to be a cakewalk. We know that we got to really bring it. We know we're going to get the best out of every team. And they're talented. Those teams have built programs. So that's the goal. That's the goal. That's the mission. And the thing is, what I loved about our journey at Brighton, we had to beat New Mission. We had to beat them.
Yeah.
It wasn't they didn't give it to us. We had to beat them. What I love about Tech, so we won it in 2017.
Yep.
The cities and states. We feel like with Gerard Clark and Johnny Ortiz and the guys that we had returning 2018, we felt we was going back to back. And Tech said we got to beat them to get it, and they beat us to get it. And so that's what I love. And so for C-Town, for our group, we got to beat those teams to get it. I think we have what it takes, but now I'm going to do my due diligence. Me, Coach Bronx, Coach Chill, Coach Paul. We're going to do our due diligence, but the boys got to want it.
Facts.
They got to believe in what we've done and what we've accomplished and what it takes. They got to trust us, but then they got to go out there and they got to get it. And I don't think the Tech kids are going to let it up that easy. I don't think the Burt kids are going to let it up that easy. Latin Academy kids, New Mission kids. But that's the goal. My goal is to try to get one before, before I decide to move on and really be there for my family.
Yeah, you definitely got to get one there, man. You definitely do.
Yeah.
So, who was the coach that most challenged you? That you knew, okay, you going to bed, you like, okay, he gonna give me a battle. Was it Corey?
Listen, when we started, it was absolutely Corey McCarthy. Now, one thing Corey, man, if you ain't get him on here, you gotta get him.
Yeah, he's
here.
definitely gonna come on here.
He implemented something with those New Mission kids. Nastiness. We fighting.
Yeah.
You gonna have to beat us because we not giving it up easy
at all.
We gonna throw elbows. We gonna fight, scratch, claw our way to championship, and we gonna beat you because we know how to play ball. So Corey really implemented that. What I think, again, this is why I think Tech Boston did it so big. So for me, bringing that C-Town stuff to Brighton and the mindset, we brought grit, but not like Corey and them had it. But we got beat up by them so much, we had to figure out how to get tougher. So when we finally got tougher, we was able to do it. That was my first challenge. My second challenge was Johnny, Tech Boston. Because even though we were winning state titles and we won a couple of cities, every time we played them regular season,
he was there.
They gave it to us. Like, they beat us senior night. Like, there was like
I was on that team.
There was a running tradition. Y'all would just beat us on senior night. Like, we supposed to be like, we ended up winning those years, but those are the reasons why, too.
Yeah.
Like, you got to understand.
I ain't gonna lie, Coleman. We wanted to see y'all in the garden. We wanted to see. Listen, I had nightmares like, man. Because Davon's like the arch. He's on the other side. He's letting it snap. I'm letting it snap. So I wanted to get that shot at it.
Absolutely. And so those guys were our nightmares at those times, and they forced me to get better. See, New Mission had a certain sauce to it because it's a pilot school. And you can apply to get in, and it don't have to be like school choice. Tech Boston, again, same thing. So New Mission got an advantage because they could really kind of pick their kids, right? So we couldn't do that. We had to work with what we had. So my thing was, I'm not going to make no excuses. We just going to get in the lab and get grind. Better, right? And that's what helped us, right? And so from there, we found a way to get through them, but I had to figure it out. Playing against Johnny, playing against you guys, I mean, we already knew. Like, we just knew, like, we gonna get some tough kids. Like, forget all the finesse and the cuteness. Like, we really getting Dorchester, born and raised, from the gutter, from the mud. Not no like soft kids. And so that was always our test. So again, I love to use the phrase "iron sharpens iron," but New Mission and Corey really was I had to get them. Like, they were the standard. And so beating them was a big thing for me. And then going against you guys and getting tougher is what we had to figure out. And so those two guys, made
Really
me
challenged you.
better, man, and made me so, you got a Jack, and then you got those guys, me trying to compete against them, made me who I am, man. So I shout out to those brothers.
Shout out to Corey and Johnny.
I just love it. I love what we accomplished, because what people don't realize, 2010, Corey wins the Division 4 state championship. New Mission. 2011, they win the Division 2 state championship. 2012, we made it to the state championship, from the city. We made it the furthest. We ended up losing in the chip, but we made it. 2013, we win it. 2014, New Mission wins it. 2015, we go the furthest and we drop the ball to Danvers. That was the only non-city team to get a Division II state title since 2011, because we dropped the ball in 2015. 2016, New Mission wins the whole thing, the state championship. 2017, we come back, we win it. 2018, Tech. 2019, Tech. And then 2020, after that, it was who won it? Division 2. Just won it. That was the COVID year.
Yeah, COVID year, y'all didn't play.
COVID year.
They gave it to BLA,
they
right?
They gave it
cities.
The cities. The cities, they got it. So we didn't play the states. We
didn't play the states.
So so that was actually, who actually got a piece of it? Whitman Hanson. Because New Mission, we all was beating them, and they were the co-champions or whatever. With somebody else.
Yep.
So they got it.
They were co-champions with the Burke, wasn't they?
Yeah, actually, that's right.
Yep.
But 2011, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19,
cities.
All city.
Yeah.
And that was Corey McCarthy, Hugh Coleman, Johnny Williams.
And shout out to all y'all for that, man.
Thank you.
Hey, man, Coleman, I appreciate you coming today, man, on T3MU TV. You a legend.
Thank you.
One of the greatest coaches in the city, man. Keep inspiring the youth, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me. I love what you're doing, brother. Like I said, I'm so happy that I know you're doing it. So now I got to make sure everybody tap in, grow your channel, grow what you're doing, get you nationally syndicated.
Yes.
So now we get the legends and we blow it up from here. Proud of you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man, and see y'all next episode. Peace.